Good morning and welcome to Parenting Teens with Dr. Cam. I am your host, Dr. Cam, and today I am here with Sheila Doerfler. And Doerfler, right? I pronounced that right?
Yes.
Doerfler.
Yes.
Good. Thank you. Sheila is a writer and meditator and a traveler, and she is the founder of Luminescent Being. She has over 30 years of healing experience in a variety of modalities, helping people heal trauma and rewrite subconscious programs to find more freedom and wholeness. She's also an avid traveler, so she's moved overseas several times, and right now you're calling us from Melbourne, Australia, which is
Yes.
super cool, and I need to visit you because I want to go there.
Yes.
So we're going to talk today about how our belief systems that we created when we were growing up and how those impact our parenting right now. So Sheila, welcome. It's so wonderful to see you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Cam. Thanks for having me.
So Sheila, tell us a little bit about what you do now and how you got into that.
Okay. I am a Psych K facilitator, and that is an energy psychology modality that allows us to work with our subconscious and change limiting beliefs, diffuse a lot of emotional reactions we have to things. So it works great with old trauma. And then you can actually put in new positive beliefs. So you use it, in two ways. You're unwiring beliefs that don't serve you, and then you're putting in new beliefs that actually help you move toward the kind of life that you want and become the kind of person you want. And the way that I got into it was I was a stay-at-home mom for 20 years, and I have one son, and I homeschooled him for a number of years. He had a lot of food allergies and learning differences, and so schooling with him was quite a journey. And in his last 2 years of high school, I started meditating full time and looking for more resources to help us with our health. And we stumbled on Psych K through some people in my meditation community. And I had one session and just knew this was what I wanted. After, 30 years of being on a healing journey and trying hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of modalities, I loved how quick Psych K is. And I loved how non-invasive it is. And I also really loved how it empowers the client. And it works with kids, it works with adults. You can, learn it for yourself and do it for yourself as well. And it's a do with modality. So it's really about empowering people to know what's best for them and know what they're ready to let go of. And, you don't remove any beliefs that you're not ready, that your spirit, your soul is not ready to let go of. And so what it basically does is it makes sure that what you want, what you desire consciously lines up with your subconscious programming, and any programming that's getting in the way of what it is you're wanting and trying to create in any of the quadrants of your life. Getting those two on board so you're driving in one direction and you're not, you're not sort of one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake kind of thing. So it's a great tool. And when my son was in his last year of high school, he had his first Psych K session as well, and he really loved the modality. And he actually, after just one session, had healed quite a number of his food allergies, and was
Wow.
able to reintroduce nuts and seeds, olives, tomatoes, a whole host of foods that for a good 10 years, I had to adapt every recipe. I had to find creative ways to work around, um, just so many food allergies. And he was also acquiring more as time went on, which actually is common when, the root cause of the sensitivities, the allergies are, is a gut kind of thing. So,
Right.
it was a it was a journey. And so we were looking for ways to help with our stress, and that's how we came to Site K. And yeah, and it's helped a lot with just taking the stress out of life, and making things so much more, it gives you more resilience, so that you aren't reacting the way that you used to, the way that, the situations that trigger you,
Right.
you just get a little more of that resilience, that longer refractory period before, um, you know, uh,
I've got a lot of questions.
okay.
So I am trying, because I don't know anything really about it. So a few things are really coming to mind. The first is, you're talking about it healing trauma. And I want to get first clear on what you define trauma, because a lot of times people think trauma as being some like major, huge event that happened in their life that was like, I'm thinking like 9/11 or something like really big like
Right.
that. So when you're saying healing trauma, how do you define trauma?
Okay, well, for me, in my personal life, I've had lifelong post-traumatic stress disorder from just a difficult childhood. And so, that would be considered capital T trauma, right? But even little traumas in life, especially trauma in early life, actually that affects the amygdala, the hippocampus, and many of the regions of the brain that have to do with, those automated responses.
Fight or flight.
And it really inhibits, the thinking centers, the emotional centers that allow you to emotionally regulate. They kind of, with especially long-term trauma, what ends up happening is they get understimulated, or almost can atrophy. And so you end up with someone that is just constantly in a state of fight or flight, or freeze, which is often not in everyday language. You always hear people talking about fight or flight, but there's actually that third piece, the freeze
is a big one.
piece.
Yeah, that's a biggie.
And so there are a lot of kinds of behaviors you see every day, like people who have road rage. Like when I was a parent, I was constantly overreacting to things. I was not a homeschooler who, had the kids baking every day, did lots of, I I found a lot of that stuff stressful, and I would really work hard to, you know, um, do the things that were fun, do the things, but I used to marvel at moms who, the kids could make a mess, and it just sort of like they'd take it, and and I was like such a neat freak and trying to control things. So
you're saying like small traumas throughout your life right? And in our childhood, in our teens, and our whenever. Now we don't, because we haven't really dealt with them, they are what triggers. So things that our kids do, and I work mainly with teens, so things our teens do, and I think specifically too, trigger things in us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
we react in a way that to us might feel like it makes sense, but it doesn't make sense because it's
Right.
triggering something that we haven't healed in ourselves. So when we don't have patience for our kids, when something happens and we get upset with how they're treating us, or how it's not necessarily the teens, it's how it's reacting and triggering what it's triggering in us. Did I get that
Exactly.
right? Okay.
Exactly.
So now we know we're reacting, and what we're saying is a lot of times we're overreacting. So how does something like Psych K help us deal with what those what that trauma is, and how to prevent or stop or slow down those triggers?
Okay. Well, there, there's the traumas that we have, and even if somebody didn't have like an abusive environment, we pick up all kinds of beliefs from teachers, family, even some of the well-meaning things that our parents, like you're such a good kid, like even some of those innocent things, those labels that we pick up, our pecking order. If you come from a family with more than one child, or you're an only child, it's like all those things start to color your experience and form beliefs about how the world is and how people should be and how life should be. And so you don't have to have big traumas to, collect a bunch of unhelpful beliefs, right? And then, you have the accumulative effect of, little traumas, even physical injuries, or people who might have been sickly as a kid,
Mhm.
or a diagnosis as a kid of, whether it's a learning or a physical health issue. I mean, all those things impact us. And then we bring that baggage into our parenting. So we have our inherited beliefs, we have the beliefs we picked up, we have beliefs that other family members,
Mm.
grandparents, teachers, coaches, um, it's a bag. It's a big bag of stuff that that if you go through life without sort of wondering why and how you got all this, programming, this conditioning, like
Mhm.
if you don't start unpacking that, it's running you. It's running your life. It becomes the way you are being in the world,
Yeah.
right? So how Psych K can help is it is a way to sort of begin to release yourself from those, just all those beliefs, those pieces of identity that you've picked up that don't serve you. Um, and then you're more in your heart and you're more whole brained.
Mm.
And when we're whole brained, it basically, that's a term we use a lot in Psych K. And even one of the processes for actually clearing a belief is called the whole brain posture. So that is the posture you would sit in.
Mm.
That actually they've done brain maps of QEEGs of people in while they're in the whole brain posture having a Psych K session, and in real time they can actually see with the QEEG that the brain activity completely changes, and that they can actually see that the brain becomes whole brain. The left and the right are talking to each other, and I think it activates the corpus callosum, which is, the bridge between the hemispheres. So there's a real physical effect just from sitting in this simple body posture, and actually any kind of activity we do, uh, crawling, swimming, any kind of, time that you're coordinating, that kind of hands and feet, left, right, or you're crossing the midline of the body. So a lot of yoga poses. There's so many ancient, things that much of that wisdom is part of Psych K. It's kind of a blend of applied kinesiology. It's ancient wisdom. It's I think there's even some of the ancestral, the North American tribes. I think some of the wisdom from some of the, I think the Inuits, and there's so many traditions that it has threads.
Okay.
The man that created Psych K, his name is Rob Williams. So, he had studied for so long, and he's actually a psychotherapist. So, he developed it as a tool because he found that with many of his clients, he would work with them for years and years and years, having regular talk therapy, and the beliefs just weren't shifting, right? The underlying beliefs weren't shifting. So he was frustrated, and he wanted a way to work with people to help move them, shift the paradigm and be able to, literally free their mind from those limiting beliefs. So
sounds
did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it did. And I had other ones that you then answered, because I really was curious, like, what exactly is it and what do you do in it? So you definitely answered those questions. So before we go, I want to let people know or share with you, how can people work with you or learn more about you or more about Psych K?
Psych K is a great modality that you can do online. So I have clients around the globe. My company is called Luminescent Being. And so I have a website called luminescentbeing.com. And I'm also on social media. So Sheila Doerfler is pretty much most of my social media, my first and last name. So people can contact me that way. Anyone who has questions about Psych K, just send me an email. I'm happy to answer. I also have on my website, if people have questions, they can get a 15-minute, 20-minute free consultation if they have questions or they just want to see if it's a good fit. So that's how they can get a hold of me.
Good, fantastic. I'm sure there's people that I know I want to look even more. I know we've had conversations and I'm still like, my mind is like, it's a lot to consume, but it's also, I know one of the biggest struggles is changing our mindset. And yet our mindset has such an enormous impact on everything we do and how we interact with the world. So it's so important to be aware of it. So before we go, any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with the parents, for parents with teens particularly?
Well, my teen is now 20. So, the getting a hold of your own stress as a parent is key, because we are literally modeling for them, right? And it's not too late to start. It's never too late to start. I think I've had a lot of friends who, because their teens already have behaviors they don't like, they think that it's too late, that they should have done it differently when they were younger. But it's never too late. you can impact them and you can help them navigate adulthood just by being a role model now, just by them seeing that you're embracing change. And that is really powerful.
It is.
So it's never too late to begin, even if they're teens. And by you shifting your beliefs, it shifts the whole energy of the relationship. And, you know, it heals the whole family, even when just one person does their inner work. So
yeah, this has been great. So if you found value in my conversation with Sheila, please like, comment, and share with a friend if you think they'll find value in it as well. And I'm not sure how they couldn't. And if you want more useful tips, encouragement, and solutions, join me every first and third Tuesday for the Parenting Teens Power Hour. And you can sign up for free at parentingpowerhour.com/registration. And Sheila, thank you so much again for joining us. This has been really enlightening to me, and I'm sure very helpful to the parents listening.
my pleasure. Thank you, Dr. Cam. Really appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. Have a beautiful, pleasant, calm day. Bye, everyone.